Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. I am Amy, along here with my sister Molly. We help high-achieving women increase their income, but most importantly, their impact. We are neighbors, sisters, and business partners. We have built 8-figure businesses together, traveled the world together, raised our children together, mentored thousands of men and women together, and it's all because we have a penthouse mindset. We aim for the top, and we show others how to empower themselves to peel back the layers and truly step into their greatness and calling. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. My name is Amy, along with my sister Molly. We love and are so passionate about helping high-achieving women increase their impact. Oh, for the love, increase their income, menopause brain, but most importantly, their impact. And I love the menopause brain, but I love this woman more who is with us. And I have to tell you, I saw her a few years ago when she moved to town, come roll into town, she and her husband. They are gorgeous in every single way.
Oh yeah.
Her fashion, I love fashion, and this woman like knocks it out of the ballpark every single time. And so she's not only very fashionable and very entrepreneurial, but incredibly smart, brilliant businesswoman, very business savvy, and has a heart of gold, a true servant's heart. So Kimberly Goins, welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. And I'm so glad to have you here. And I would just love to have you take us back. I've met you now as you have gone viral and you are like this. I mean, really, there's paparazzi truly, stalking you, but you're that fabulous. But take us back to how you grew up, how things started, and what got you here.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Molly, Amy, I'm so ecstatic to be here with you, amazing ladies. And when I think about the heart that you have for women, I couldn't wait. I've been up with you guys since 4:30 this morning, anticipating the conversation. So thank you for allowing me to share time and space with you and your amazing audience today. So again, I'm Kim Goins. I am the founder of the Millionaires Club, and my story begins in a really small town in East Texas called Mineola, Texas. Now, if I was drinking champagne, the more champagne I drink, the more Southern I sound. So it's going to continue to come out on our journey. Okay. Yes. So my parents married really young. My parents married really young and had my sister and I, and we were raised with the support and the infrastructure of grandparents, right? So my dad was in college, my mom was still in high school when they married. They have 2 little kids, so you needed the village to come together to really make, their lives be able to work as a young couple. And so I was raised there, attended school there, then went off to a small college in Longview, Texas. And actually the guy, it's Laterno University, and the founder is actually who invented like large tractor trailers, et cetera. So it started off right as kind of like a more of a technical college, and then it's more of traditional as it stands today. But right, then I got pregnant really early on. So that went out the door because now I am a mom. And really, this generational thing is now cycling back through because now I need the support and I'm not married like my parents, right? So now I need the support again of the village to be able to ensure that my young daughter and I can move forward. And then not only am I a young mom and I'm trying to complete college and I'm working full time. And if you guys remember, because we were women of a certain age, this is when like minimum wage like $4.25. So I am not raking it in by any stretch of the imagination. And so sincerely, my family steps up because my daughter has her first brain surgery at 5 days old. And back then, because of just some things that have been willed to me from my grandfather, I didn't qualify for any like governmental assistance. So I am grinding this thing out. And I think, when I think about just dynamic women I've met on my journey, is because there was a moment that some friction was created that you had to learn to be resilient, right? And for me, that's this moment. So at some point, I moved to the bigger cities, kind of the natural matriculation from my small town to Tyler, Texas, and then to Dallas. I get in the nonprofit space and I spend over 25 years there in fundraising and leading large and small nonprofits. And then I moved to the great state of Nebraska. So I run into you ladies, but like that's the start. But again, it really is foundationally about family, being rooted in family and faith, like from the beginning, from the beginning.
That was phenomenal. I
Okay.
love that. So that taking a village, I love that you mentioned several things. Taking a village to raise children. So really collaboration, like women supporting each other. And I think that is, you made a decision when you had a really challenging time. That's usually the pivot, right? That is the turning point that you are like, all right, I love this child more than life itself, and I'm going to do this. So that support and that family and the environment that was so important to you, that has now really transitioned to where you are now and with what you are doing, this amazing work you're doing now.
Yeah, and I think again to your point though, that is the root, right? It's like how can we all come together for the greater good? So again, I was a really young mom, and full disclosure, I knew nothing. I mean, like I knew nothing. My daughter, and I think this is really important to say because I have such a really large family. My mom had 11 siblings total. I have 45 first cousins on my mother's side. So I mean, we are a tribe, right? So, but when I had my daughter, for example, you had my aunts who were all nurses or in the nursing field who would come down or come around my house 3 or 4 times a day to wash her hair because she had brain surgery. So I couldn't wash her hair. Like I didn't have the stomach for it, if I could say that now. She's 28 now, but I didn't have the stomach for it. And so they show up to wash her hair, right? Like they're like, no one allowed me to fail. And so I was literally learning, right? So you think about like changing the tire while the car is moving. That was kind of my parenting approach. But thank God, you have people who are saying, we are not going to allow you to fail. And I will tell you this, the only difference between myself and any other young mother who has struggled her entire life to raise her kids, maybe was on drugs, maybe still lives in poverty, is that I had a team of people behind me. That is legitimately the only difference, is that I had this built-in system of people who would not allow me to fail. So to your point, Amy, when you say, think about what I'm doing now with the Millionaires Club, it is exactly that. We have built a community of women and we are holding each other accountable, and you will not fail. We will not allow you to fail. Everything that you need is already inside of you. It is just our job to provide like that infrastructure and support system, and then just allow you to blossom into what God designed you to be.
And you
Oh,
built, Kim, honestly, that's what made me seek you out, is just the community you've built. It's just staggering because more than anything, especially coming out of COVID, what we realize, and we really, our niche is, 40 to 60-year-old women, but community is always the biggest thing. No matter what age you are, whether you're 20, whether you're, 85, people want community, and you, girlfriend, have created quite a community. So tell us a little bit about Millionaire, and you need to know how to spell it first.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I started the Millionaires Club, it was really birthed out of, get this, hope, right? And so in a time where so many people, when you look at our current economy, we're not going to have a political conversation, but like your 401ks, like this, like crazy is happening. And what I'm saying is this, man, it's a great time to find like-minded women. And then how can you exist within the infrastructure? So we're not going to sit around and cry. We're not going to sit around and kind of, I'm going to say itch and moan, because I don't know I can say on your podcast. But we're going to say, like, this is the reality, and how am I going to thrive in it? And so, to your point, Molly, I just kind of made that statement on TikTok. And full disclosure, I made it on TikTok specifically because no one knew me there. I had about 7 followers. I kid you, I had about 7 followers, seven, 7 followers.
Oh my gosh.
And I had about 7 followers, and I only had about 3 or 4 posts. And again, it was every time I'd go to Houston to get my hair cut, I wanted people to see how great my hair looked. And so that's what I was posting. And I should make note that the 3 followers, like 2 of them are my daughters, one is my husband, and I made him get an account to follow me. So he's like, And just probably my hairstylist who wants to repost, right? And so no one knew me there, but this thing was on my heart. This thing was on my heart that we were not going to let the culture define moments anymore. And I don't care what culture that is. I'm telling you guys, that's happening a lot, right? You see it with young girls and how they dress. You see it with young people and maybe over drinking because the culture is saying you should be doing like this. And what I am saying is like we're going to be kind of anti that and say, you know what? This thing is not really that bad. We live really great lives here in the US. I mean, we do. I think the frustration had become is that the free enterprise system works, period, right? Like I will live and die on that hill. As a matter of fact, Molly, you know this, my license plate say capitalism. So I mean, like this isn't the hill I'm going to live and die on. However, not everyone had discovered how to make it work for them. And so that was really kind of like the impetus of this message is you're only frustrated, you're only upset, you're only crying is because you think that this system doesn't work for you. But if you come join me, I'm going to show you that it does. And so what we talk about at the Millionaires Club, so the reason why it's spelled this way, the millions is really about the money we're going to make and the heirs literally around the inheritance we're going to leave. And when you think about Black households specifically, we are one of the only cultures that you don't have the like wealth that moves forward each generation. So generationally, every single generation has to start from zero. And so this is to really creating the stopgap so that doesn't happen anymore. People didn't know that they could do it. And so I make this comment and I legitimately go from 7 followers to, I don't know, maybe the video at 1.2 million views or something like that. Then I go from like seven followers to maybe like 50,000 overnight. It's like these crazy people on the internet. What are they doing? I was just shouting into this open hole because I was frustrated saying, people, let's not worry. You think I'm going to listen, we are in a great country. We're in a great country. As somebody I've been to 15 different countries in the last 13 months, right? We're in a great country.
Amen.
And we're still in our infancy when you compare our countries to other cultures, right? So, like when I was in Jordan and you see the first church and where Jesus walked, or when I'm over in Rome, right? Like, so we're in get this, I call it our 2-year-old tantrum because we're about 2 years old compared to others, it's literally like some other societies. So, we're going to figure this thing out. But what we're not going to do is spend 4 years wallowing, saying this didn't go my way, no matter what side you're on. This doesn't go my way because this is happening in my business. So we're going to continue to reinvent ourselves. We're going to continue to just show up and build authentic and healthy relationships. And we're going to ride these waves, right, that we know that are coming. And we're going to do it, in relationship. And so that's what we do. We are building wealth through entrepreneurship and investing. That's it. So very simple. I've just been fortunate enough personally on my journey to be mentored by and to engage with some of the most brilliant people on the planet. So we legitimately have millionaires and billionaires who come into our community and share information that when I was growing up in Mineola, Texas, in the late 70s, early 80s, I had never been exposed to, right? My parents didn't know to have some of these conversations. And I mean, like, seriously, like, thank God we've been able to have them now because we've just built an ecosystem and a safe place for that to happen.
Oh
Okay,
my gosh.
it's so good because mentorship and empowering women, obviously, that is something Amy and I are 100% behind. The average listener, the average person, like you said, also, I'm from Mineola, Texas, like little tiny town, Texas. How did you find your first mentor? Did you even know that that was a mentor? Did you even know, do you remember that experience? How did you find it? How did it work for you? How does somebody else make that work for them?
Yeah, I think what your audience has to know is what I preach to my audience. The very first investment that is critical for your success is the investment in your mindset, right? And let me tell you what I knew for sure. What I knew for sure, and this is going to sound like really silly, but you guys remember I was a really young mom. And so this is when, during a time where you remember the talk show Ricky Lake was like, okay, And I kid you not, I remember because I would watch the Ricky Lake show and she'd have, like all these different types of topics. And I remember at some point she had about like teen moms, right? And I was 19. I was 19 when I got pregnant and had my oldest daughter. And I remember the only thing I think of is that I was now a statistic. Like, I don't know why that just kind of stabbed me in my gut. I'm like, I am a statistic. And so that day, and so there was no aha moment. The only thing I knew is that I didn't want to be what the only thing I had seen around me. So I come from this loving infrastructure, but there's nobody who had been wealthy. There was no one who was not working hard and what we know now to work smart, right? There had never been an investment, right, of any kind in my family until I did it first. Mm-hmm. So before my parents, before my grandparents, before all of my aunts and uncles, even my older cousins, I was the first to invest in the stock market because I started just seeking out really smart people. And Molly, to answer your question directly, how I did it, I would legitimately, because you didn't have the internet back then, I would legitimately cold call smart people, get this, and say, this is who I am. Can I mow your lawn? And so I can ask you some questions about money. I kid you not. I never asked for anything for free. Let me tell you, I should not be mowing anyone's lawn. And no one, and this is really kind of the cheat code here. Guess what? No one told me no. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because I wasn't asking for anything for free. Like, so doing like some kind of manual labor, so in exchange for my time, for their resource, right? So their knowledge, that was the only thing I knew. So again, I mean, they weren't promoting self-help books in mass, right? The way they do now. You couldn't go into a Facebook group or another community the way you do now and get knowledge. So you had to be resourceful. And then just because I had the arrogant audacity, I started off calling millionaires and millionaires. Like I went into the bank. I went to the largest bank in my city one time, you guys. And I don't even know if I even knew what a credit score was. I'm not kidding you. I had no money in this bank because I told you I was making $4.25 an hour. And I go and I demand to see the bank president. And I remember he said, this is the boldest thing. They're like, what do you want? I'm like, no, I need to talk to the bank president. And I told him this. I said, I don't know anything about money, but I can mow your lawn. And girls, listen, I kid you not, I did not own a lawnmower. I'm so grateful no one said, okay. But that's literally how it got started. I would just try to exchange something because I had nothing else to give. Like I didn't have anything to leverage at that time. Like I can leverage things now, right? I can leverage other relationships. I can leverage resources. I can even leverage my own knowledge. When you're 19 with a kid on your hip and a sick kid at that, I mean, I had nothing. I didn't have a college degree. I had nothing to leverage. And so I was like, listen, if you do this for me, I don't even know where that idea came from, but I was like, I'll mow your lawn if you have 1 hour conversation with me.
But here's the thing, and I love that. First of all, 2 points. When every single person who is successful has done something like that, they have asked someone, they have, to mentor that, right? They've formed a relationship. All of us that are successful love to reach down and help people. We don't expect but if somebody comes and asks us, we are most certainly going to do it. I love that. And that point is so well taken. And now I can't remember the other one because I have menopause brain. Dang it.
I would have forgotten how to answer, so it doesn't matter because I have it too.
Oh, and the second thing is the wanting, just making that decision and not knowing the how. You mentioned you did not have the mower, but you weren't expecting them to ask to mow the lawn, to actually take you up on it. You didn't know the how, but you made a decision and you took action. Decision, action. And that is key. Can you go on a bit more about that? Because you are an action taker. You make quick decisions. You change your mind slowly and you move forward.
Yeah, Amy, I think what's really important to note here is even though I didn't have a lawnmower, had anyone called me out on it, number one, I would have went and found one. So I would have went and leveraged something else to get
Amen.
it. Right?
Amen.
Right? Because I think most important is you have to be able to keep your word. You have to be a person of integrity because character is all you have. And I'm kidding you not, the character is all I had. Like I only had like this, I didn't even have a name at this time. So I only had like my character and my integrity. But most important, You have to be able to execute. And the number one thing that holds about 90% of people that even that I work with is that they overthink. They have to have it all perfect. They have to see the entire staircase. And I say, just execute. Do something. There were days that I, honestly, God, did not know what to do. And so I would then go to the library where I could read books for free with my little, again, my kiddo on my hip, and I would just read business books because the goal was to do something. So there was never an excuse that I didn't have a phone. There was never an excuse that I didn't have a car sometimes. There was never going to be any excuse. And women who want to own their time and their freedom, whatever that looks like for them, they have to be able to execute. If they don't, they will die with their dreams. They will die with a dream in them. And I tell this story about my grandmother, Shady Bell, the best woman that's ever been on the planet. And my grandmother was a brilliant lady. She graduated high school at 15 as valedictorian. She got accepted into all kinds of colleges, but she was also growing up in a time where you could only be like a nurse, a secretary, or there was always three things: a nurse, secretary,
Sure.
or like a stay-at-home mom, right? And so she wanted to be a seamstress. And my grandmother, like all the surrounding towns, including Mineola, she made everyone's clothes. All the bankers, if there was a gala happening, like you came to my grandmother for, her dream was to go to Paris. And then, you know what? Life started happening. Life started happening. And so instead of her focusing on her dreams, making a decision to execute against them, she did what she was taught to do. Like, now I'm going to go get this job that she's really great. She's really great at. She's in a museum right now, right? So she's in a museum. She was really
Wow.
great at her job. She had thousands of people who came to her funeral. But get this, her dream was to go to Paris. Her dream was to actually become a seamstress and have her own clothing line. And she could have done it had she just kind of stuck with and said, no matter what, this is what I'm going to do. So now by the time she has the money to do it, now by the time she has the actual time to do it, she's retired, she starts getting a little shake in her left hand. So now she physically cannot do it. And my grandmother died without ever seeing Paris. My grandmother died without ever, again, realizing her dream. You have to execute against all odds. You have to execute if you're going through a divorce. You have to execute if you're a single mom. You have to execute if you have to work a 9 to 5, and then you work on your dream, right? From 8 to 10 at night. But the goal is to say, what one little small thing can I do? Right? It's the 1%. What's 1%? How do I get 1% better each day?
And you know what I think is so powerful? That is your imagination. That is, it doesn't cost you anything to sit there and just dial that in and really think about what is it that I want and how do I want it to look? And you're going to the library and reading books for free. And we often think, oh, it's got to be, something so complicated, but it's not. It's not. It's
It's
like
not.
go to work on your dream. And that's what you did. And you were
Yeah.
19 and and that's what is so profound is everyone can do that. Everyone, no matter the amount of money in your bank account or lack thereof, everyone can do that. Everyone can go and do and execute on their dreams, but how many really do?
So many don't. And I think that is what makes me sad. Like, that's what keeps me going as we're building the Millionaires Club community. It is that I don't want one more woman to die with a dream in them, right? I don't want to continue to hear stories. And I tell people, like, if you don't believe me, go to any nursing home, go to any retirement center. Like, that should be enough motivation to say, today I'm not going to make, like, I don't have an excuse for anything. My mom used to say when we were growing up, she says, listen, if you're looking for an excuse, you can find one, right? And truly, you can find an excuse if you're looking for. So you have to say, beyond all odds, I'm going to give you a great example of this. And it's not necessarily good tied to business. When you think about my oldest daughter, Brianna, she had her first brain surgery at 5 days old. She used to have 100+ seizures a day. She has been on 13, maybe 14 now, because again, that's my menopause brain, but I'm getting you close, seizure medications. And when she turned 13, I was telling her on her 13th birthday, Brianna, guess what? You no longer have special needs. And she's like, what? I'm like, no. And she had spent every day, get that, she had spent every day in special education. I said, no, like at 13, it goes away. Because as a mom, I knew this. She could have a disability, but I wasn't going to handicap her. And so now, as we're preparing for high school and beyond, like when she was this cute little thing, like people give you the warm and fuzzies. At some point, she's going to be an adult. You know, people are going to say, oh, you still complaining about that brain surgery you had 18, 19 years ago? You're still complaining about this? Because you know what the doctor said? They said she'd never ride a bike, and she does. They said she'd never read, and she does, because we never let any limitation. And so she wrote her own college application. This is when you're still writing by hand, right? So she wrote her own, and she would stay up, and I'm not exaggerating, like 3, 4 in the morning, because if I couldn't read it, I'd make her rewrite it. I'd make her rewrite it. So it took her 2 weeks to put together an application. She did her own interview. And I tell people about this amazing human on the day that the stars aligned, doves ascend, right? She still has about a 68 IQ. And you know, she got on a plane and went off to college by herself. She went to the University of North Carolina. She got in, and we didn't make a phone call for her. We did not write her application, because I said, I could write and you get in, but then you know that I had written it, right? And so there's just no excuses. I'm telling you, I just think that I want people to know there's just no excuses. So now this kid who has the IQ hasn't changed. You know what has? Her just tenacity. Her tenacity has changed. And so now she has her own lip gloss company. She has her own pie company that she makes pies, and she sells them in mass during the holidays.
Oh my gosh.
And we've never promoted it once for her. She's not making any excuses on why she can't live out her dream, when they said that she'd never read, she'd never ride a bike, she'd always need this. I was told at one time to institutionalize her. You know, no, because you know what she does? She executes. She believes in herself. She surrounds herself. She too finds mentors, even in her community, right? Or other people with disabilities, to navigate what she wants to do. And I mean, she bringing in millions? Nope. She's full of joy, though. She won't die with a dream in her. I do know that.
Amen.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is absolutely incredible. That is absolutely incredible. So as you swing it back to your Millionaire Club, as I'm looking at your t-shirt there, tell me how people can get in touch with you. How can women join you in that? And what do they need to have? The dream, the tenacity?
Yeah, so I founded the Millionaires Club. It's a safe space for Black women to come together, again, under just like this really collective cause. Now, I'm building something adjacent to it now, because as you can imagine, it got so wildly popular very quickly. I mean, so we went from 0 to 800 women in about 48 hours. Right. And I mean, so you're talking about building something as you could go, because I went back on social media and I said, you know what, guys, we're going to start a club. We're going to call ourselves the Millionaires. Well, now you have to do it, right? You put it out there. And so I'm talking about execution. I didn't say let's do it next month. I didn't say let's do it next day. In 24 hours, we had an infrastructure built. 48 hours, we had 800 women in, and then we broke it. We broke the platform. It was growing so fast. And so in the middle of that, now I'm researching other platforms, which is the new platform that we built this on. And I mean, so then you have to try to get people back over who were engaged, and how to keep them engaged at a high level, right? So we have thousands now in the community. We have 8,000, maybe we're about 9,000 we're processing through right as we speak. And then we have 100,000 on the wait list. And so I think the easiest way now, your people, they're going to listen to this, they're going to go follow, like, what is she talking about? Because I'm just getting our socials started. But you can go to the Millionaire Club community on Instagram to find us, and the same for YouTube, because we're just getting ready to launch our YouTube channel. So they can absolutely find us there. But I mean, we want women coming into the Millionaires Club. And again, because there's been such great interest from other populations, other community, including men. Like, I can't tell you the hundreds of men who have said, is there something for me? Well, I did not obviously have them in mind when I was building this, but we're creating that for them now, because the goal is that everyone participates in the free enterprise system. We're better when we're all working towards the same goals, when we're all saying, how do we make our individual communities better? And you make them better. Let me be very clear to your audience. You make them better through business. You do not make them better through hope. You do not make them better, and again, I don't want to be political, through social programs. You make them better because business has to be the lifeblood of any community. If they don't believe me, go to some towns where industry has left. Right. I mean, so like it's very irrefutable, although maybe not popular when I say this. But again, the free enterprise system works. There's no place in the world where poor people are healthy, educated, and safe. And conversely, there's nowhere in the world where affluent people are not. And so poverty has to be something that has to be addressed. But again, you only do that through business. You do that through changing your mindset. If they're like me, I meditate every single morning so, to get this thing started. Because I'm not always in the mood. I'm not always excited. I don't always want to do it, but the goal is to do it anyway because I want my family and my community at large to be better. And I want to play a role in it before I leave this planet.
And you know
And
what I love, Kim, is in your community, just the stories, like, and like showing me like real time as it's happening, which is so powerful. Women that have never had saved. I remember one of the tasks was to save $1,000, and you bring in these experts all for free. And it's powerful. Women in their 50s, 60s, I think you had someone in their 60s that has never saved $1,000 in their life. That is powerful. Like, I just, taking action, again, executing. It's so powerful what you're doing in your community. And then realizing, like, oh, we've got other people that want in. I'm going to build a
That's
community.
right, Molly. Yeah, when I think about what the reason why I continue to do this, right? Because it is a free community, will always be 100% free. Now, we do have other paid programs. We're starting a millionaire marketplace where because we find people who have not found us yet. So they're invested in programs and they're not getting a return because we saw the rise of the guru in 2020 when everyone is at home. And it's really put a stain on the industry. But this is the good news. 5 years later, they're sorting themselves out, right? Like people really are getting sorted out. And that's the good news for people like us who are stepped up and we can say, no, I actually did this, right? So I became a millionaire, not by selling just courses to other people, right? Like that's not my English. Like you could Google the businesses that I own and that we started from nothing. And now you have brick and mortar operations. But when I think about the community specifically, I mean, we have a lady in our community who is 81 and she still works every single day. And she works in the health and wellness or the health and beauty industry. And she is a massage therapist. And she is driving around Houston, Texas, still giving massages because she couldn't and I mean, some people I don't want to fully retire, right? But I also don't want to have to need to work. She just started the last few weeks her first Robinhood account, and she's investing for the very first time in her entire life. No one had ever taught her to invest until she attended a course in our community. And there's free events 5 days a week. So in February, we had a Savings Day challenge for $1,000. And if I showed you on the screen now the number of women who had never saved $50, and what do you mean I have $1,000 now? Oh, and I now have something to do with it because we're like, now hold on, because we're not saving $1,000, right, to go buy a new bag. And then I put in last week, I'm like, remember all these stock market classes we've been taking? Guess what? It's a great time to start buying. That's right. Like we're not watching this news and getting depressed. Like we're gonna let other people do commentary. We're gonna let other people cry. Well, we're gonna say we're gonna take action every day at every single step. And so now you have women even over the weekend, we're having these conversations who never thought that they could invest are investing now. And what you and I know is this: in 4 to 5 years, the return they're going to see, right, on these investments now is going to be, again, life changing because you cannot work your way to wealth. You cannot exchange your time for money and think you're going to get to wealth. You have to invest. And when I think about like the capitalism again on my license plate, it's not just money. Let me be crystal clear. You have to have the social capital. So you have to start getting in rooms and networking with other people to be able then to say, guess what? For some of these ladies, to even know what to invest in. But we have people who are coming into the community and sharing. They're investing in startups. So we have some women who are investing in startups for the very first time in their lives. You know what? They didn't even know those type of opportunities existed, right? For them. We have a lady, because my husband sits on several like pretty high paying paid boards. And so we talk about these multiple streams of income. And so we have a lady who was not necessarily exposed at all in her life to paid boards. And just 2 weeks ago, she just interviewed for her first paid board. She's like, I didn't, like 6 months ago, she didn't even know that those existed. And now she's interviewing for her first paid boards. And again, that's how you change generational wealth. That's how you build legacy. That's how you take care of your community. Because I don't care what people say, money solves a multitude of issues, right? And it becomes race agnostic at this point. I won't go into how I've proved that theory, but just know I actually proved this with data with really smart people. So it wasn't like just I put the data together, like some really brilliant people from our big university put this together for me. But more importantly, right, when you think about Michael Jordan, he's Black, he's not worried about housing or food or transportation, right? So it can't just be that. Neither is Oprah, neither is Tiger Woods, right? Like I could go down the list. And so what that means is that once you can start tapping into other resources and learning that other opportunities out there, it can be life-changing. And we're already proven that. We're 6-7 months in and lives are changing. And it didn't take a mandate from the government to do. It didn't take us to march to do. It didn't take us to write our congressman to do. Guess what? We just did it. We just did it. And lives are being changed. And I don't like to oversimplify, but it's that simple.
It is.
Okay, that is like goosebumps, like goosebumps on my arms.
I know.
Isn't that the truth? Wow, that is so powerful. So powerful. Oh my goodness. So we could talk for hours, and we will be doing another podcast, and we will continue to get together with you in person. In fact, we'll be there tomorrow, won't we, at the apiary?
Great.
Yes, there's an event there that we're going to. So everything we always ask at the end of our podcast is called Meet Me in the Penthouse.
Yes.
And that means a variety of things to a variety of people. If I were to ask you, what does Meet Me in the Penthouse mean to you? What would you say?
Oh, that is such a fabulous question. And listen, this went by so quickly. So that's just a testament to how amazing you ladies are. When I think about Meet Me in the Penthouse, it really is meet me at the top. And I mean straight at the top. We're not stopping on any more floors. We're not taking the stairs to get here. It really is the one elevator with the one button, and we're going there. And the conversations that we're going to have once we get there. And this is where the elite come. And by the elite, I don't mean the people that's in the papers. I mean the people that you have made connections with, the people who fill your soul, that you feel joy each and every day. Because, right, because you can be unhappy or happy because that's so external, but this joy is this thing in the inside. And you want to go to the penthouse to be with other like-minded women, to be in a space where you can collaborate, to be in a space where, get this, where you can design the life that you deserve to live and whatever that may look like for you. That's what I would say. So I can't wait to come to your penthouse.
Meet me in the Penthouse.
I'm going to invite myself over tomorrow.
We're ready. We're ready to have you. And Kim, I love your energy. I'm so grateful our paths crossed in person. That's just a treat in itself. But if you're looking to find Kim, we will put that in the show notes, how to find her. And then also, if you want to work with us, find us at www.sistersnextdoor.com. We have all kinds of classes. We have all kinds of courses. Get on our wait list.
I feel a collaboration with Kim going on too. Like I feel a collaboration.
We're making this happen.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We've already talked about it. I'm going to have to get some pretty outrageous heels to keep up with you two, but I'm elevated when I hang out with the both of you, right? Like it's just an elevation. It's just like, I knew when I met Kim for lunch, she showed up and looked like $1 million in our little town of 2,500 people. She's like, it's Friday night. It's date night. We have date night every Friday night. I'm like, of course you do. Of course you are rocking in.
At the favorite restaurant. I usually see at our favorite restaurant, right?
That's right.
Your favorite restaurant. So she is magical. So follow her, find her. And I mean, more than anything, I hope you put this into practice. I hope you execute on what Kim gave you. She gave you tactical things. You guys, this was free advice. This was free advice. And that's what we love to do here at Meet Me in the Penthouse is bring you great women that have great stories of how they pivoted, how they made this work. Because you know what? You can too. if we can, you can. And that is powerful. So meet us in the Penthouse, join Kim, and we look forward to seeing you on one of our platforms. And thank you all for joining us.
Hey guys, we'd love to have you join our waitlist for a class of You from the Top. There are going to be incredible women who are making incredible, decisive, clear decisions. The energy is fabulous. The view from the top is fabulous. And there's room for you at the top. Go to sistersnextdoor.com and join our waitlist.